Hi, this is Jordi V, and today I'm going to show you how I've made this track in the style of Drake is War. So if you are looking to make any type of drill UK beat, what you need is, generally speaking, you need a piano or some kind of bells, typical chords or simple chords, and maybe some arpeggiated like piano notes. Nothing complicated. You just need to think about the rapper who will be posing on your or be singing about on your beat. So the idea is to come up with a simple melody, repetitive one, and to add another top layer to create some variation later, maybe a texture, an ambient bells, or something in the background, just to in order for the beat to not be boring. So I just did that. I started with this simple chord and simple melody. Let me play this one. So yeah, for this one we have a patch from Omnisphere. Let me open that. It might take a little bit of time to open. Yeah, my computer is going crazy actually. So yeah, we have a patch from Omnisphere. Here it is. So we have this bell called vent. It's a French word, I guess. And later we have a reverb, an instance of EQ3, a halftime in order to play the melody. So I'm not fully on the halftime, it's not on 100%. I'm playing it with 22% dry wet just to add this sub layer of notes. So if I deactivate it, you will see the difference. Let me play it without the halftime. You can feel it within the higher range. If I add the halftime, you can feel that sub-basic kind of layer or ambience, and I like that. Later, in order to clean up the sound, I added an EQ8 to catch some of the low frequencies and some of the high frequencies, since again, we will need those frequencies for our 808 and our drums. As for the higher notes, we don't necessarily need them. We are looking for that grimy kind of dark sound. Later, I had the retro color in order to add some vintage sound to our track here. So I have a little bit of noise. Maybe I will deactivate it later. I have a little bit of wobble, some distortion, and I also increased the space here to make it more stereo, and a little bit of magnetic, and I have it on 100% dry wet. So let me replay our melody here. So yeah, next I decided to add another layer or variation. As I said within the introduction, you need to create some variation in order to not get the listener too bored with the melody. So the variation sounds like this. You can hear the top layer that I added here to our melody. This does an amazing job. So yeah, throughout the beat, I would be alternating between our first melody and our second melody. Once I had that, let me deactivate the retro color noise because it's kind of annoying me. It works within the beat, but when I'm trying to explain stuff, it's kind of annoying. So once I had that, I copy pasted the same melody here and I played on another patch from Omnisphere. Let me again go to my chords and wait for Omnisphere to open. It's crazy. So we have a flute called Feelings. As I said, you might be looking for some flute, some ambience pad, something in the background, not too present in order not to clash with your main melody. So let me solo that. You can see also that I'm playing the pattern within a higher octave just to accentuate those higher frequencies. We are not looking for our melody to clash, but to accentuate and work together with our main melody. So if I play them both together, you will see the effect. or hear the effect. So yeah, the flute acts a little bit as a texture. So next, processing wise, I have a little bit of EQ3 here just to cut some of the low frequencies. The EQ8 let me deactivate it since we don't need them. And a little bit of reverb with the 55% dry wet. So nothing crazy again. I also panned this flute sound 27 to the left in order to create some stereo depth within my composition. So once we had that, I moved it to the 808. So with the 808, let me solo our pattern. I started with the bass root note of each chord. Let me click on fold. And I added some variation just to have those kind of slides. So for the 808, I'm using this sample called C Timbre 808 from the pack from Origin Sound Trap Drift. There you have it, if you are looking for the same 808. Next, I have the tuner in order to tune my 808, but it wasn't necessarily since I have the key here is on C3, so nothing crazy. It should work. Next, I have a compressor to sidechain my sub bass to my kick. I have an EQ3 here. I didn't use this drum rack, this effects rack, so let me deactivate or leave it for now. Next, we have an auto filter to cut some of those harsh frequencies, a fab filter Saturn to add some distortion to the sound, a multi-band dynamics to add some compression to the sound or multi-band dynamic compression. And finally, I have my bass on mono with this utility plugin. So let's listen to our sub bass or 808, sorry. Let me deactivate the distortion. Yeah, it's better. You can hear the slides here within the 808. Yeah, that's the effect we are looking for with the drill kind of bass. You are looking for those slides, maybe some fills on your 808. You can go crazy. You have more pass or more freedom than a typical trap beat. So yeah, you should just activate the legato and the portamento glide within your sampler, and you are good to go. This is not a tutorial about how to make glides. If you need that, just let me know within the comment, and I will make a separate tutorial on that. So once we have our main melody, our chords, and our 808 bass, I move to the drums. So let me solo our drums. Let me get rid of this pan tool first. Let's loop this section and let's listen to the drum. So on the group, I have a glue compression in order to glue things together and nothing crazy. I have this effects rack, but I'm not using it. Basically, I'm just adding it in order to maybe later I need some tweaking on my sounds. So the first layer is this cake. Let me solo it. Super subby bass, kind of present within the mix. No processing was done on it here. And let me show you the pattern we are playing. Again, we are playing a kind of a busy pattern. Let me maybe group those two MIDI clips in order to make it more visual. You can see we are adding some fills here and going a little bit crazy with the pattern. Yeah, those fills add a lot to the composition. Next, we have the hats. So for the hat, I have this hi-hat sample from 77 pack. We have an EQ3 cut in some of the low frequencies. Again, another EQ8 to make sure we are not hearing any of those sub frequencies. As for the pattern, I'm playing a busy pattern here with some fills, some octave or some pitch variation, again some triplet notes. So if we solo it. Also, another thing I'm doing here is I'm automating the track panning to make the sound going from the left to the right. Usually I will do it with the Pancake VST plugin or the auto pan from Ableton Live, but I've decided to draw it with my pen tool since I'm looking for more control with the hi-hats on this one. So yeah, let me solo the kick and the hats. Again, one thing I forgot to mention is we are at 141 beats per minute, which is kind of a classical drill type of sounds. Again, even for other subgenre within the UK, like UK dubstep or grime or stuff like that, you are looking for beats within the 135 to 145 beats per minute. So that's a perfect range in order to work with this kind of compositions. Next, we have our snare. Let me solo it and let's play it. Perfect snare for this job. You are looking for this choppy kind of snare. Remind me of Chicago's drill. So that's it for the snare is from the same pack 77. It's the snare number 9. I'm cutting some of the low frequencies and nothing crazy here. So basically what we are doing is playing our typical snare on the third beat, as you might see here, but adding a lot of fills and variation, and at the end some rolls. As you might see, I've experimented a bit in order to come up with this pattern. I highly advise you do the same. Just place your typical snare on the third beat and later try to come up with some variations, some fill notes, maybe go with your pen tool and see what works. So if I play again my hat, snare and kicks. As you might see here, we don't have any percussion elements. Since I'm going a little bit crazy with the snares, I've decided to not add any percussion in order to not make the beat kind of busy for the rapper. So what you might want to do is, instead of having those fills and those extra notes on the snare, maybe add some rim shots, some congas, some African percussion, and try to add those fills and those extra notes on the percussion just to make the beat fuller. But I've decided to go with the hard knocking kind of stripped down beat, so that's the effect I'm looking for and I'm happy with that. Let me see. So basically that's it for the beat. Again, nothing crazy, but it works greatly together. We have just a crush sample here in order to handle the transitions. Again, some reverse crash, nothing crazy, some reverb, and I'm playing it a little bit too softly, so it's not super present within the mix. So it's on minus 30 dB, and again, it's just there to handle the variation. So that's it for the beat. Later, in order to audit my sound, in order to have some idea on how a rapper will sing on this beat, I've decided to look for an acapella, and I found this acapella from Hidi One, which is a UK drill artist, called Both. And yeah, I've tweaked it a bit. I added some extra layer and I think it works amazing within my beat. It sounds kind of a remix actually. So if I activate this layer and let's listen to it.
Tea house up north or near the coast, through the boy, there's both. Spend this bread on Jones, we'll spend it on smoke, man, spend it on both. Count up this money from O or money from shows, man, count up both. Pass in the pattern business and the pattern up home, man, pattern them both. Veg jam me up for worse than smoke, trying to change for both. They want me back on soldiers and tips and rats, trying to pattern me both. But I'm on roll, yeah, the boss brown ones, I get love from both. On the young success, just let a young nigga go govern up.
I'm super happy with the result, especially with the vocals. It sounds like a finished song. So yeah, I think we did an amazing job kind of mimicking or making a similar type of beat to Drake. And yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know within the comments if you need me to develop or make another tutorial about a specific element or sound you are looking to achieve within your beats. And yeah, I'll be playing the full beat with the vocals just because I like it at the end, so might stick around and listen to it another time, I guess. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. I will be posting more tutorials within the future. Peace.
house up north or near the coast, through the bay, there's both. Spend this bread on jewels, or spend it on smoke, man, spend it on both. Counting up this money from O or money from shows, man, counting up both. Paps in the pattern business and a pattern up home, man, pattern them both. Fresh drop me off for words and smoke, trying to do it for both. Hitting me back on socials and chips and rash, trying to pattern them both. But I'm on rolling, those brown ones, I get lower from both. Money on the sex, just let a young nigga go cover up both. Yeah, T-Box, C2 ups and amazing, we ended up doing up both. Too much beef on the streets, we're hitting 2 blocks, we're shooting up both. I got first when we back up the course, out in front of the judge, just doing up both. How many times in jail was the bread and the horse for being up both? So they said that I'm the king of control, rap, I'm doing it all. Everywhere they get smoky, let the gang them all on tour. Every day I hear niggas trying to draw me out, why they all want me to war? 4-4, none of that plays in the scopes, they don't wanna split it up both. Money on set, just let a young nigga go covering up both.